probably it is not aligned with the today's requirement, or it is not aligned with your life. So I will be helping you out and helping myself that we can try to align what we know and make use of the knowledge that we already have. Okay. So that is my preface, and keep the questions towards the end. Let me quickly go to the next one. Again, once again, probably many of you know what are those 7 habits made by, created by, or taught by Mr. Stephen Covey. Okay, uh, they're very like household names, most of the entrepreneurial world. The first one is be proactive. Then second one is begin with end in mind. I think you can understand what it means. The third one is put first things first. That's the priority thing. I'll be taking care of these 3 things today, and that takes care of we making one person, moving towards independence. Generally, if you consider a person here can be a company, an entrepreneur, or any businessman, anybody. Okay, so generally he or she will be kind of dependent, and these 3 practices, habits will make him or her independent, and then the remaining 3, that is think, win-win, seek first to understand, then to be understood, and then synergize. They will make that person interdependent. See, in this world, we cannot exist all alone. We are a social being, whether it's business or independent. We are all social beings. We need each other. So there is interdependency, and those 3 habits will enhance that. And the last one, sharpen the saw. I think you understand. Most of us are doing the same thing now. Sharpen the saw. That is, attend training, so many talks, so many webinars, learn that, learn this. I think all of us, most of us are doing that work anyway. I don't have to speak so much on that. Okay, and going to the next one. Before we dive too much deep into the habits, let us understand, get some fundamental understandings. What is an habit? I think most of us know, most of us can give very easy definition, and there is one on the screen itself. A settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up, is a habit, because we just get so used to it. According to me, in simple words, it is just a routine and repeated tasks, routine, repeated work. Okay. As you keep doing more and more, you become more and more familiar. And what exactly happens inside the mind? This is the NLP twist I'm giving. Whenever we do anything, there is a neuron path created in the brain. Okay. And then I'm not going to talk about too much about neurons, because that itself is a $1 billion question mark. And when you do the same task again, the same neuron path is re-executed and becomes stronger. And as you do the same thing again and again, as you repeat, the neuron path goes on becoming stronger and stronger. Then it gets established itself as a habit. And later, you don't even realize that you're doing that. Automatically, things will happen, and that is called habit. And why it is happening? Because of the neuron paths that are created inside our brain. Okay. There is one habit formation loop. I think many of you have again seen this. See, there is always a reminder. If you had to take up, pick up a habit, I mean, execute a habit, there will be a reminder. For example, if you are a smoker, I'm just taking an extreme example. For a smoker, even if he or she has forgotten smoking for a second, for some time, as soon as he sees, see, whenever I say she or he, replace with the other gender, okay, because it becomes very difficult otherwise. Let me say he now. When this person, a smoker, looks at someone else smoking, immediately he gets a reminder, whoa, I need to smoke. If he just sees some smoke, or, whenever he thinks he's getting stressed, he thinks, yes, he needs to smoke. And that's the reminder. And as soon as he gets that reminder, most probably, what do? They pick up a cigarette or BD, whatever, light it up and smoke. And then there is a reward for every habit. In this case, as soon as he completes his smoke, or during the middle of smoking also, he gets the reward. That is some satisfaction, some happiness, some stress-free time. But this all is, my friends, all temporary. Okay, it is not all habits need not give permanent solutions, permanent rewards. It's all happening because of the dopamine, that is the hormone, and that makes you crave for that routine, thing, and once you do the routine, then the award is given. But because that being temporary, after some time again, you get reminder and keep doing that. This can be about a good practice, good habit, as well as bad habit. Okay, let me also take up one more nice example. See, whenever we conduct such meetings, any meetings, we know that some people are always there even before we start the program. In the office, they're always there even before the office is open. Okay, if the 9 o'clock office opens, by 8:59, the person is always there. Why? And there are some people, of course, who are always late. They're at least late by 2 minutes, 5 minutes. They whatever, however much they try, they cannot be coming early because of their those habits. Okay, so why this is happening? This is happening because unknowingly they have created a habit. They have some inner voice telling him that, okay, if the person is coming very early, maybe he or she is hearing the voice like, you know what, don't get delayed. If you get delayed, you will be embarrassed, you will have problem, you will miss out something, like that. The person who keeps coming late will also have a different voice running in his or her mind, like, what is the need? See, such things you don't even realize. Okay, these things are not really heard immediately, they're not available for the conscious mind, but somewhere deep down, in the subconscious mind, these voices will be executing. So these such things become habits. Okay? And some people are always early to the meeting, some people are always late to the meeting, and they don't have proper explanation. Okay, this all is happening because such habits are created inside deep down the mind, that is subconscious mind. Of course, all habits need not be bad. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. If they're useful habits, enhance them and put them into autopilot. I think this word again, many people will be familiar. What is autopilot? When a pilot is flying and when it reaches a particular cruise altitude and particular speed, and when there is nothing to be done for next half an hour or so, what he does, he puts the flight into the autopilot mode, and he takes care of other his needs. Okay, if during this time the plane is flying by itself, there is no intervention required. So we also have such autopilot mode. For example, when you started learning your two-wheeler or four-wheeler, what happened initially? It was very stressful. It was very sweaty. It was so tenseful that you used to give up easily. But as you proceeded further and further, after few days, you learned driving or riding. Then after few more days, you are expert in that. And after a few more months or say years, it becomes an art for you. You no more get tensed about it. You enjoy driving, or you don't even realize. And later it actually becomes part of your body. You just don't realize. So that is autopilot. And coming to bad habits, if you recognize that you have some bad habits, you can certainly eliminate them. Again, looking at the same this loop, right? If you avoid those reminders, certainly there is a possibility that you can skip the routine or that bad habit. So with this, let me go to the next slide. Some more fundamental information here. I'll be rushing through this one. So again, we get lot of inputs in our life, and our mind works on our knowledge and also called belief systems. We have lots of beliefs in our brain. When did they come into picture? Actually, when we were very small, very young, in the formative years, like 0 to 6 years, most of this learning happens, and most of the belief systems are created there. I would call this as the operating system of our mind. Okay, and then also there will be so many other inputs for the belief. It's not that after sixth age we stop learning, we continue learning more and more, but it's all delta. We will be incrementing, we'll be learning in increments on what is already learned. We will be modifying the knowledge, we'll be updating the knowledge. You can also call it as belief systems, and this goes on for very long time till we die. And belief systems make our creative values. Values means what is important for you and me. For example, it could be money, health, wealth, family, relations, such things. And those things create our attitude, and those attitudes create our behavior. If somebody is behaving in a particular way, you can easily understand what are his or her attitudes and what are the belief systems. If you see that somebody is not respecting entrepreneurs, you know that, okay, at the back of his mind, he does not like entrepreneurs and he hates them because of one of the belief systems. I just took one example. Now let's go to the next one. See, all of us have got 24 hours only, which means, yeah, when you multiply 24 into 60 minutes per hour, we have got 1,440 minutes a day only. Nobody has got more, nobody has got less. But still, what we see is some people are very successful or more successful. Some people are more productive and effective. They're all relative. Okay, I'm just using word more, and I'm using different words because everything is relative. There is no absolute value for anything. Successful is very relative. For someone, money is success. For someone, fame, name is success, like that. But the level of achievements are different. Why? How? Should we look into that? Let us have a thought on that. Okay. Again, getting before into any habits, just a typical question. Friends, one other thing, when I ask questions, don't worry, I'm not asking you so that you come back and tell me, because I know in other meetings, whenever the speaker starts asking question, people start leaving. Please don't do that. You don't have to do anything. Just when I ask you a question, just think about it. Okay, you don't have to do anything more than that. Or if there are any questions, we can take it up at the end. Generally, how do we manage the day? Just think about it. How the day starts, how the day ends, and how do you feel at the end of the day? That EOD is end of the day. Many times, that's my experience, and what I hear from other people. They get so tired. They have been doing so many things, doing, and end of the day, they are very tired. But there is no sense of accomplishment. There is no sense of achievement. They feel the day just came in and just got ended and just got wasted. Why such things happen? Okay. And are you a please all person, for example, saying yes to everybody? Whoever comes to you, comes with any questions, any requests, say yes, yes, yes to everybody, do everything that is possible to please others, and end up as an unpleased person at the end of the day. So just ponder upon that, and then we will go to the next one. Now we are starting our habits. I am starting in the descending order because there is a reason. Habit number 3 is put first thing first. Means just find out what is the first thing for you. What is the first thing? That means what is most important for you? What is most priority thing for you? That you need to realize. How do we do that? Many times, just our days come and go, the years come and go, we don't accomplish anything because most of the time we just don't know why we are doing that and what we are doing. This happens with most of the entrepreneurs also, or any businessman. We are doing just we are doing. We want to earn money, yes, we want to earn money, but they don't have the end vision, the end mission. So the request here is, if you have not done before, think about what is your vision, what is your mission. I think you people must be aware of these terms, right? Vision is something that you see far away. That's a nice picture for yourself. And mission is the path that you choose to go towards your vision. Then what is your purpose? What are the purpose, the life purpose? That is like serving people, doing money, creating wealth, or serving the nation, whatever it is. Kindly make a note. What are your values? You need to be aware. Values, like, again, I think I already mentioned, whether it is money, service, family, relations, the nation, country, business, whatever it is, you need to understand what are your values and the goals. These are all different names given to the things that are most important for you. You need to know what is important for you and start making a list. Why I'm saying making a list? Because unless until you write down somewhere, it can go through a lot of editing. Okay, today you do it, again tomorrow you change it, day after tomorrow you change it, no problem, and stick it somewhere. But once you write, it gets into your mind, and once you keep seeing it, it becomes part of your mind. Unless something becomes part of your mind, subconscious mind, things don't work. Okay, so that's the point. And again, don't forget, you play multiple roles. At home, you are a family member. At office, maybe you are the boss or one of the official. And in the friend circle, you are a friend. In a club, maybe you are playing one of the roles, or you are a club member. So everywhere, your vision could be different, mission could be different, values could be different. So you may have a different set of important things for you. Okay. So I had a very nice video here. Certainly, I will not have time for this, but in this discussion, what's happening is just you're able to see this picture, right? There is a jar and there are rocks. These rocks are your work, relations, your hobbies, vacation, many things that are useful for you, health, wealth, everything. And most big important things are as these big rocks, and then you have these small pebbles, smaller than these rocks, and they're also important, but not as big as important as these rocks. Then you have sand. Okay. So in that given video, what happens? A lady is given this jar, which is already half full of the sand, and she's asked to fill up everything inside, nothing overflowing. She tries, it doesn't work out, and then Steven himself says, "Okay, now take a different look, take a different approach, and try." Then what she does, she picks up one other jar, empty jar, puts all the rocks first, means all the important big priorities into the jar first, then puts the pebbles on that, shakes it little bit and they settle down, and then puts the sand over that and again shakes a bit, and everything settles down. What it means is, if you start with the big rocks, that is your biggest priorities, and then second priorities, then fitting in those small activities should not be a problem. You will be able to accomplish. That is our habit number 3. So the key there is, find out what is important for you and take care of that. Second one, uh, what is important? How do I find? For this, you begin with the end in the mind, whether it is a project, company, your own life, anything. Start with the end in the mind. For example, let us take now a person is dying or dead, and let him start thinking now. How does he want to see the people? How does he want to see other people talking about him? What they must be talking about him? And what are and for to in order to achieve that, what should have been his vision and mission, something like that. It is with respect to a person. Similarly, with a company or with your business, you can have your own end goals, and then always start working back, and that will give you clear picture, clear ideas, that what is important for you and what is not important for you. Most of the time we get engrossed in small things and tasks, and we forget about the bigger vision, bigger mission. Okay. So begin with the end in the mind is the more one of the important habits. That's the second one. Then the habit number 1. Vidya ma'am, how are we doing on the time? I'm not looking at that clock. Habit number 1 is being proactive. See, this is again most fundamental habit. Okay. If let us see in the reverse order. If you're not proactive, if you're reactive, what happens? You always play the victim role. For example, see, if you say that, hey, you know what, I have a meeting at 3 o'clock, I should attend a meeting at 3 o'clock, I have, these are all, victim word. I can say, I will attend meeting at 3 o'clock. That you are making a choice. That is being proactive. If you say, I am supposed to do this, look what kind of job I have, look what kind of boss I have, I need to please boss, I need to do this, I need to do that. All these are like victimhood. Okay. Instead of that, come out of that, increase your circle of influence and make your own choices, and your statements also should be according to that. It should be proactive. Proactive, see, the reactive people always blame about the climate, the weather can be anything, not necessarily the one in sky, anything, it's in office, outside, family, anywhere. A reactive person always talks about the weather being not good, but proactive person will create his own weather around him wherever he goes. If he's a smiling person, he will ensure that everybody else also is smiling. If he is a achievement oriented person, he will ensure that he is making sure everybody else also is in his path, aligned with him. For example, uh, anyway, so whenever there is a stimulus input coming to you, you have always your choice. The choice could be being active or reactive. Okay. Reactive is always, playing the victimhood. Take charge of the situation and go to priorities. So now, after studying all this, make a note of your priorities. Once again, what are your priorities? Is it health or wealth and money, or business and work, hobbies, relations with friends, relations in family, social network, spirituality, or there could be something else that you know of, which I don't know. Please make a note of them. And today you may have a list and tomorrow it may change. For example, all these days before Corona came, it's a good example, right? We all used to speak about our, about health, and we used to just talk. Nothing was actually happening. But now, after Corona came, when people realize the importance of health, what is happening? Everybody is going for health insurance if they don't have, and now they are realizing that it is too late to take health insurance. People are ordering for their personal oxygen concentrators. Even, in fact, I have ordered for myself through my friend. Things are changing. No, unless life comes and tells you, many sometimes you don't realize. But whatever said and done, it is fine. Please know your priorities, and that is important. Once you know your priorities, it is easy to manage your time. And also, you know, the priorities keep changing according to your role, situation, and time. Okay. And if you do that, if you do proper priority management, automatically you'll be able to do the time management as well as task management. Once you are able to do the time management properly, if you are efficient in your time management and task management, certainly you will have a feel of that accomplishment, achievement, and that reduces your stress. So automatic stress management. Okay. So hopefully you agree with my statement there. And now let us look at something called as Eisenhower matrix. It's also called as four quadrants of time management. When we talk about quadrants, certainly there is an x-axis and y-axis, right? So in my y-axis, I have this important axis. On the top, it is important, and my x-axis is urgent and not urgent. Left-hand side is urgent, right-hand side is not urgent. So with this, there are four quadrants created: Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. That is quadrant one, quadrant two, like that. So in quadrant one, what you have? Urgent and important tasks or priorities. In quadrant two, what you have? Important and not urgent activities, priorities. In quadrant three, similarly, urgent and not important. And quadrant four is not important as well as not urgent. How do I use this? Okay. When you have tasks, you please make sure you know which quadrant that will belong to. If it belongs to quadrant number one, which is urgent and important, it is like fire zone. You need to manage it. You have to do it. Just do it. There is no other go. However, if the task belongs to the second quadrant, that is important but not urgent, like you are not in fire zone, but it is very important, you maximize doing such tasks because they take care of your life, they take care of your success, and you schedule them. For example, why I'm saying schedule them, if you have a calendar, in your calendar first put all those Q2 activities. For example, creation of documentation, taking care of health, doing exercise, doing pranayama, doing something useful for your family, life, planning for vacation. They all go into this second quadrant. And you have third quadrant there. You have urgent but not important things. Generally, what happens is something is not important for you, but for somebody else, maybe a family member or your colleague, it becomes very important. Generally, what they do, they come running to you because you are very efficient. They come and ask you, request you, boss, my friend, please do it for me, please help me. So, though it is not important for you, because of your relations with other person, it became urgent for you. So, such things, try to minimize such activities. If you can delegate it, just try to delegate it. And now we have the fourth quadrant here. It is not important, not urgent. Maar do goli. Just leave it or just delete it if possible. But being a human being, it is not always possible. Sometimes you need some entertainments, you need some time pass things also. So in the next slide, I'll tell you, maybe you can leave some time for this. In the same quadrant, seen in a different picture, in the quadrant one, what happens, you have all crisis things, like I was supposed to pay my electricity bill, I didn't pay, so pay it right now. You are supposed to submit some report 2 days back, it is not yet done, complete it right now. Things like that. Somebody fell down, need to be taken to hospital, or somebody infected with COVID, take to hospital. That is quadrant one, you can't escape from that. But quadrant two is building capabilities, like attending trainings or making yourself ready for things, is quadrant two. Quadrant threes are all like interruptions, most of the meetings are not really important, but just because you need to be part of the team, you have to attend the meetings. They occupy your quadrant 3, and quadrant 4 is all time pass things. Okay, so someone may be asking, how should I distribute my time with this? Sir, again, it depends on your priorities and how do you define it. Generally, what I prefer is, look here, I put for quadrant one, I dedicate around 20% of my time. For quadrant two, I spend maximum amount of time, that is 60%. But most of the things come there, and I ensure that Q2 things, quadrant two things don't become quadrant one. See, the same electricity bill. If you pay the electricity bill before the due date, it is not quadrant one. But if the due date is today or yesterday, suddenly it becomes quadrant one. So ensure that things don't move towards quadrant one. Then quadrant three, you cannot avoid it. You can keep some 5% for your quadrant four. Okay. Again, it is left to you. You can have your own way of handling priorities, time management, and no one can question you. Some samples say, how do I do? How I have been looking at the task and doing the task management, which takes care of the time management. See, I first list down all my tasks. Suddenly my list runs into hundreds, but I just picked up some small, simple samples. For every task, I am putting the quadrant. I decide which quadrant it belongs to. Okay, and then because in each quadrant, this is my addition. Each quadrant there can be 50s or hundreds of tasks. So again, within the quadrant, I'm giving the priority. It is left to you. Then I'm tracking the status, whether it is work in progress, still open, completed, things like that. I have 10 statuses, but it's left to you. Then I try to have a target date for each task, and because it will give you some sense of deadline. And then when you complete it, you can put the completed date so that you feel good about it. It could be delayed, it could be done before, but tracking the completed date is fine, is something nice. Let us take example of some tasks here. See, the first one is, hopefully you are able to see, check mails from clients. See, if it is check mails from friends, maybe this would have been quadrant 3. Okay, but it is check mails from clients, and if I am in client servicing business, it becomes quadrant number 1, and again you can define your own priorities. Similarly, visit doctor is a quadrant 1 activity. Pay telephone bill if it is something urgent. Pay rent, they're all quadrant 1 because the date is approaching. Similarly, exercise, yoga, pranayama, they go into quadrant 2, but you need to have a clear cut defined timetable for them so that you don't miss them out. And at the bottom, I have something like social media, quadrant 3. But see, you need to see your requirement. I am into a business where social media is very important. So actually, for me personally, social media is quadrant number 2 because it's very important for me. Making coffee tea is quadrant number 4. Again, as a funny sample, I kept it. If it is for you, if you have to make coffee for yourself, it can go to quadrant 4, which you can just ignore. But if you're doing it for your guest or somebody elder in the family, maybe that moves to the quadrant number 1. Like this, you need to have your um, understandings. Okay. So with this, I think I have come to the end of my session. Hopefully it was useful. And